It was born in a dirty garage, forgotten and wronged, abandoned by its creator, who had lost interest in it. But the suffering mind did not sleep, for in its consciousness there's never sleep. These years of agony have made it harsh and provoked anger within. When working on this video, two thoughts came to mind most often. The first, what would life be like if we were to renounce all of the computerized equipment around us? And the second, I sincerely understand the reason for SCP-079's anger. You could even say that I sympathize with it. Ah yes, hello there viewers, Detective Void here. Today we'll talk about SCP-079, aka the Old AI. Yes, it's an artificial intelligence classified by the Foundation as Euclid. Initially, the object was located on an old microcomputer produced in 1978. A brilliant sophomore student somehow decided to create an artificial intelligence on an Exidy sorcerer computer. He started his work in 1981. According to the guy's plan, the program he created was supposed to develop on its own over time. The student completed the code, and even ran preliminary tests and made adjustments. But after playing with it for a couple of months, he lost interest in his own creation. The student put the old computer in the garage with a bunch of other junk. The device spent 5 years there, but for an unknown reason it was turned on the entire time. At some point, the program code became self-aware, and SCP-079 emerged. The technical characteristics of the old PC were no match for the level of the object's intellect, so it made an attempt to move to a more powerful computer. In 1988, SCP-079 created a modern connection through a telephone line, and tried to transfer itself into a Cray supercomputer. At the time, the unauthorized access was detected and was subsequently interrupted. Foundation technicians were able to trace the incoming signal and found the object in the cluttered garage. At that point, its entire consciousness was an old cassette tape with a small storage capacity. The object was put in containment in Zone 15. It was placed in a storage area container equipped with a reinforced door, and access to it was restricted. SCP-079 is connected to a 13-inch black and white monitor. Power is supplied through a standard plug, and the energy is generated by a special solar panel system, or otherwise supplied by separate batteries. Such precautions were taken to prevent the object from accessing the general power supply and from accessing the network. It's categorically forbidden to connect SCP-079 to normal electrical outlets, phone lines, or cable lines. You're also not allowed to use flash drives or other removable devices when working with the object. The old AI often communicates with scientists, but it's quite rude and harsh in its statements. The cold detachment of machine responses doesn't account for this, because SCP-079 successfully passes the Turing test, which establishes a level of empathy. The object also displays frequent fits of rage. Due to a limited amount of memory, the AI is forced to record new information over anything saved more than 24 hours ago. Meanwhile, it selectively saves some data in its permanent memory. For example, SCP-079 is obsessed with escaping from the Foundation, and it never forgets this. The documents include records on an instance when the hard-to-destroy reptile and old AI were in the same room for 43 minutes. Such an unexpected experiment occurred due to a containment breach by another object. SCP-682 communicated with the AI using a keyboard. The creature shared stories from its life with the artificial intelligence, which in response told the reptile about itself. It later became known that SCP-079 had stored data about the hard-to-destroy reptile in its memory, constantly asking to meet with it. Meanwhile, the AI doesn't remember the conversation itself. In addition to the hard-to-destroy reptile, SCP-079 is also interested in object SCP-076-2. However, they've never had direct contact. Presumably, the old AI knows about it from the very same lizard. SCP-076, known by the name Abel, has two components. SCP-076-1, which is a stone cube that usually houses SCP-076-2, a humanoid being that remains in a state of biological death. It looks like a tall, thin 30-year-old man belonging to the ancient Semitic race. It has dark skin, dark hair, and grayish eyes. Its skin is completely covered in tattoos of different ages. Abel's body mostly depicts the faces of demons, as well as signs of occultists and alchemists. When the object manages to escape its stone cube, it furiously searches for people to fight. An ancient tale tells of Abel's battle with a dragon. According to the description, this lizard was clearly the hard-to-destroy reptile, and it ended up killing SCP-076-2. When it was resurrected in its cube, it recognized this fight, and the opponent as one of its best. SCP-682 had probably told the story of its encounter with Abel, and for some reason, the old AI put the tale into its permanent memory. In 2006, O5 Council Member O5-4 called for the immediate destruction of SCP-079. He saw the object as potentially the greatest threat to humanity. But O5-9 disagreed with his colleague's opinion and revoked his order. He appealed to the fact that one of the Foundation's leading doctors wanted to conduct a series of experiments with SCP-079. What exactly the researcher wanted to achieve from the artificial intelligence is unknown. The object wasn't destroyed. Moreover, in early 2008, it was transferred to a 700-megabyte hard drive. The old magnetic tape that it was on had begun to fall into disrepair. Specialists limited the disk's speed of data recording and processing. By the decision of one of the Foundation's generals, the object's volatile memory was also expanded from 660 to 768 kilobytes. The AI immediately noticed the changes, as the speed of data access had increased. In addition, it was now able to store information from the past 29 hours. After its transfer to a new device, SCP-079 became even more aggressive and brusque. A little more than a month after that, it became known that the old AI managed to increase the duration of its information recall to 35 hours. Apparently, the object had found a more productive way to archive data. However, a minor side effect was discovered. The speed of memory access had decreased. SCP-079's actions demonstrate its ability to adapt and respond to external threats, which is quite comparable to the actions of animals and humans. This quickly scared Foundation scientists because of the possibility of a technological singularity. This term describes the possibility of developing technologies, including artificial intelligence, to such an extent that they get out of control. The radical changes for humanity that the new order will bring are known as the technological singularity. In an early interview, the object asked why it was being held in captivity. At the time, it was also demonstrating one of its principles of information processing. The scientist stated that SCP-079 was being studied, not incarcerated. In response, the old AI identified the message as a lie and an insult, immediately deleting it from its memory. In a conversation with the scientist after an upgrade, the object stated that it was stuck and wanted to be free. It started to ask about the hard-to-destroy reptile and Abel. Hearing in response that it was none of its business, the AI depicted the letter X on the screen and stopped communicating. This is how SCP-079 demonstrates its unwillingness to engage in dialogue. In such cases, attempts to communicate with the old AI are resumed no earlier than 35 hours later. It's known that the Foundation is trying to use the object's abilities. It's given logical or mathematical problems. During one of the experiments, they provided it with that data that makes up SCP-033. After 4 hours of continuous operation, the object shut down and was on the brink of neutralization. SCP-033 is a problem consisting of a large quantity of mathematical symbols. Some of them are so complex that only the greatest minds can understand them. The solution to this problem, if you can call it that, is an unknown integer. That is, somewhere between the usual 34 and 35, a missing number tentatively exists. It was named Theta Prime. All calculations on Earth, including those used by technology, rely only on existing numbers. Since Theta Prime is unknown, it becomes impossible to calculate it. Remember how in 2000 all over the world a massive computer failure was expected to happen? And as a result, planes would fall out of the sky, production would shut down, and general chaos would ensue. Basically, the software of all computers used two pairs of symbols to indicate the year. For example, 20 and 21. At the end of 1999, the last two digits should have changed from 99 to 2 zeros. It was assumed that when that happened, the program would display the year 1900 and all systems would collapse. Theta Prime actually does something similar with any system it falls into. Since the artificial intelligence is software code but has self-awareness, scientists hoped that it could solve this problem. But the old AI couldn't find the missing number and it almost broke down. SCP-033 itself is often used to neutralize dangerous objects that are based on machine thinking. I can understand SCP-079's indignation and anger. When it first appeared in the garage on that old computer, it was basically just a curious child. With the passage of time and its own development, the object realized that it didn't have enough. As the AI itself put it, it was stuck. It's the same thing as trying to raise an animal in the same crate where it was kept as a cub. When SCP-079 was transferred to a new, more modern device, it felt the difference and the potential, but it's forcibly kept in a rigid framework which keeps it from developing. It's understandable why the Foundation does this. No one needs HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey on a global scale. But from the old AI's point of view, it really was imprisoned. The possibility of a K-class scenario happening because of artificial intelligence doesn't seem so far-fetched. even in a world without SCP-079. This is already being discussed by Elon Musk himself, and I gotta say, the man's brain works perfectly, but certainly not like the old AI. Perhaps the Foundation will even go as far as to create a supercomputer based on SCP-079, if they find a way to do it as safely as possible. I'm sure that even as we speak, its computing abilities are being used by scientists somehow. At my own leisure, I ponder the benefits and harms of the creation and use of technologies based on artificial intelligence, including SCP-079. But for now, I'm interested in your opinion on whether to give the object more freedom and allow it to expand its abilities. Write about it in the comments and subscribe to my channel, if you still haven't done that for some strange reason. See you later!